Switch Axe. You heard of this thing? You ever heard of this thing? This thing, Switch Axe. I mean, like, really, can you comprehend what I mean when I say Switch Axe? Switch Axe is a weapon from, you know, game series called Monster Hunter. And if you can't tell from the title, it's a game where you hunt monsters. And what do you hunt them with? Well, if you're a smart man, you hunt with Switch Axe, okay? Switch Axe is God's gift to man as a weapon. It is incredible. It's a glorious weapon. I mean, come on. What weapons do you know where you can latch onto a monster and drill into his face? And that's why we're here today. We're here to discuss how it feels to play Switch Axe. You know, there's tons of videos on like, oh, hey, this is how you do it, combos, and you do this in the Switch, and blah, 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 blah. Don't care. I want to know how it feels to play Switch Axe. And yes, before you say anything, I am well aware that Lazy Purple exists. He's an awesome guy and makes incredible content. But guess what? Guess what? He didn't invent feeling things, okay? Now, I've been playing Switch Axe for a while now, and multiple different iterations of it. I mean, back in 3, it was a simple time. It was a simple day. All you had to do was hit, switch, hit with the sword a little bit, and then maybe do a discharge if you wanted to. It was a simple time. Would love to show you what Switch Axe is like in Monster Hunter 4. Unfortunately, I couldn't get any footage of it on account that it actually doesn't deal any damage in that game. So unfortunately, we could not get anything of that one. No, there was nothing to be gotten. Baby me picked up Switch Axe in this little guy right here. And I'll be honest with you, this little guy was really good. Don't worry. They'll bring back Underwater Combat one day. Aww. But Switch Axe has changed since these simple times. In Gen 5, you got this big backslash, and you got this, oh, you can just transform into Switch Axe right there. You can also do this round sweep, and you can do this wild axe slash, and then you can do all this crap. There's so much crap you can do with it. It's a little overwhelming, and honestly, Switch Axe, all things considered, can be discussed as a pretty complicated weapon. But I'm here to tell you why that's dumb. That's stupid. It's not complicated. Switch Axe is not complicated. Seriously. All it is it's in the name. It's a Switch Axe. There's 2 modes, sword mode and axe mode. And basically, how it works is if you're a good Switch Axe main, you're trying to stay in sword mode as long as you can, because that's where the cool stuff happens. There's so many complicated combos, and oh, this is the most optimum way to switch into sword mode. Guess what? Really, if you attack with axe mode and then you press the switch button, you're gonna get into sword mode, and it's gonna be a combo. It's not really as complicated as people would let you believe it is. Boy, but the files, wait, that's where the weapon gets complicated, okay? Listen, I mean, you got poison file, you got exhaust file, you got paralysis file, dragon file, elemental file, power file. Look, I mean, it's just getting crazy. No, it's not. I'm here to tell you why that's not complicated either. Because guess what? Real people know that unless you're going for a specific status, or if you want to deal 0 damage in the case of exhaust file, guess what? All you're gonna do is go for power or elemental file. And everybody knows that real people use power file. Because guess what? I don't wanna make a build for every monster. Come on, what am I, crazy? That's a lot of time, and we're here to save time. We're here to get to the explosions. That's what the fun of Switch Axe is. So, just use power file. I mean, every monster is weaker to a bigger number. I think that's true. So yeah, that's the complicated stuff out of the way, but how does it really feel to play Switch Axe in Gen 5 specifically? First off, when you're in sword mode, you're basically gonna be charging up your sword as much as possible, getting it into that amped state. Because when you're in that amped state, all your sword moves deal a little explosion of whatever file you got, and you can also do the best move in the entire game. And I will also not stand for a single person telling me it's not. It is. No one can beat. No. IE/shut. It's not good. Not as good. Not as good. I mean, this move is awesome. This move feels so satisfying. Have you ever landed a elemental discharge fully and broken apart? It's an incredible feeling, an incredible feeling. Seriously, it's really good. It's really good. I would highly recommend it to anyone. I mean, come on, this thing deals big damage. You got a health augment, your health's gonna go all the way back up, so it's a really good combination with that. And also, it just looks and feels incredible. Kaboom. Now, I will note this here. You do have to be a little careful when you're elemental discharging. You can't just jump into it. You have to be a little careful with it. Because, for one thing that's a little difficult about it is that the hitboxes on it are not the best. I mean, they're not bad, but they're also not very good either. The problem is, like, sometimes you'll be on its back, like the monster's back, and then they'll hit with its head, and then, like, you'll fly off. And it's like, why did this happen? I don't really understand why this happened to me. Which leads to a lot of annoyance with the move, but also makes it a little bit more, like, riskier. It's like, okay, I gotta be smart with it. But you wanna just completely avoid all that thinking? Because, honestly, that's what I wanna do. Then you just use Rocksteady Mantle. Rocksteady Mantle just completely changes the way this move works. You now just can stay on the monster whatever you want. And if you've got a health augment, you're probably not moving at all because you probably ain't dying. And this actually is kind of a perfect transition into a primary difference between World Switch Axe and Rise's Switch Axe, is that Rise's Switch Axe always has Rocksteady Mantle on. You're not getting knocked out by anything. The hitbox is the same, so you're still getting hit by the same stuff, but you're not getting knocked out by anything, which can lead to some bad moments if you're not careful.
Get ready!
If you commit a little too much, which I admit, I'm guilty of this at all points. I want to get that big explosion off. You will get hurt, and it will not be good. And there's a lot of moments where you can die, specifically with Rises and using Rocksteady, because it kind of kills you really fast if they do something strong. And the long recovery of it might subtract a little bit. I mean, like, you get, like, it's probably like 3 seconds you gotta recover from it. That's, nothing can happen in that time. Come on, let's be honest. Nothing's gonna hit you, come on.
Don't you feel silly? Don't you feel stupid?
Despite this, it's still awesome. And it's one of the best uses for Clutch Claw. Something I hate, but guess what? Clutch Claw actually works pretty well with it. It works pretty well. You can just hook on and then do the Elemental's Discharge. You don't even have to hook on with the actual move itself. You just can Clutch Claw on and do the zero-sum discharge. It's that simple. And also, on Clutch Claw, Switch Axe's move is pretty good. I like it a lot. Like all the Clutch Claw moves, I think visually they look pretty good. I just don't like the mechanic itself. It also works as a very good sleep wake-up, so if you want to do that, you can do that.
What the fuck?
Now, it's easy to just talk about Elemental Discharge, because let's be honest, that's why a lot of people play the weapon. But what about everything else that works with the weapon? I mean, like, what are you going to be doing actually 90% of the time while you're charging it up and stuff like that? There's this thing where you spin around and it comes in the Wild Swing combo. It's pretty good. A lot of damage. Very commit. Takes a lot of commitment though. It like, you're in it for like 5 or so seconds. So comparatively to all other weapons, it's kind of one of the most committing moves in the entire game. It's kind of annoying like that, but it is good. It does really good damage and it switches you into sword very effectively. Then you got that axe smash thing. I don't really use it that much, I'll be honest. I just use it if I'm out of sword. It's pretty cool with power of your axe. Deal a little bit more damage, I think. That's kind of the way it works. I don't know. Then you got the horror of Switch Axe, this like kind of nightmare scenario that every Switch Axe main shivers. They shiver when they see it. I shiver when I see it. This. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, it's horrifying. I hate it so much. It's very unsatisfying. You want to avoid that as much as possible. That's your kind of whole mission as Switch Axe, I would say at least, is avoiding that. You avoid that, okay? Just manage your sword bar effectively. Don't reload like this. Unless you're like between zones or unless there's an actual point where you really want to, don't do it. It can get you killed and it is the most unsatisfying thing in the game. It's up there. Switch Axe has the highs and the lows. You gotta have the lows to appreciate the highs. Rise's Switch Axe has a very slow sword charge up time by itself. Like actually if you just wait and you're waiting for your sword to charge up, it takes a little bit. While Switch Axe in World is actually very, very fast at charging up, and it actually is even a little faster, generally speaking, charging up into the amped state. Now, the difference here, though, is that Rise has a lot more options to be able to reload instead of World's version. There are 2 primary moves that are added in Rise that give a sort of boost to your reload, which is this one, which is just straight up a fast reload move. They're not even that clever with that one. It's just a reload. And then there's this other one where you're in the middle of the wild combo, and you, instead of doing that flip around committing combo, that one, you actually just reload your switch axe a little bit and switch into sword mode. This move is really good, like really, really good. If you combo it right and you just do it over and over again, you can get your sword up very fast in the middle of combat. And it also switches into sword mode whenever you want, which is actually something that's surprisingly very helpful if you didn't know. Because most of the time, if you're under that bar, you can't switch into sword mode even though you have bar. You can switch into sword mode despite whatever your bar's at. It's really good move. But we have to be honest with ourselves sometimes. Even our favorite things have some problems, and Switch Axe, it's no exception. Come on, a lot of the moves have a lot of commitment required. Like the discharge, like the flip around thing, like that. I mean, like everything kind of requires a lot of commitment with Switch Axe, which makes its maneuverability kind of really low.
Don't you feel silly? Don't you feel stupid? Don't you feel a little ashamed?
Now, one thing that I feel that I'm not actually 100% certain if other Switch Axers feel like this, this is my feelings with it, that the sheath on Switch Axe is kind of terrible. Like, it takes a long time, and I swear I'm like scared to sheath. I don't know if anybody else feels this, but this is the feeling I feel. I feel like I'm scared to sheath. Like, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to sheath. I want to stay in the Switch Axe as much as possible because I don't want to have to sheath and then get killed by something. I mean, in this clip, I literally am just so scared to sheath that I just dodge right into Scorn's thing. It kind of is dumb. I don't know why I did it, but I'm just kind of like terrified of sheathing. This leads to a little bit of a weakness with Switch Axe where it's kind of got a low amount of mobility because you're also getting the slower mobility in sword mode, which is where you're probably going to be most of the time. If only there was a skill that could fix all of these problems. Evade Extender. Evade Extender is the best skill, in my opinion, for Switch Axe. I love it. Like, I struggled to not use it. Like, I just played back through Rise and Sunbreak on PS5, and it was hard to do without my build that had Evade Extender. It lets you just roll right into things. It makes Switch Axe just flow. It makes it feel good. It makes me just be able to dance around these monsters and easily catch up to especially faster guys like Rashang or something that like I can't really keep up with them. It's so useful for that. It just completely fixes Switch Axe to me. I think it just makes it so much better. Now, onto this, we have a few little tricks you get in just Rise exclusively. And, you know, some of them are pretty good, and some of them aren't not that. You got the one where you, like, go fast around, which, I mean, helps with the mobility, but if you got Evade Extender, it's kind of useless. Then you got this, like, longer sort of overhead smash one, which is pretty cool. I like it, but it also has a lot of commitment to it, and it is kind of, like, not that good. Like, it kind of can combo. I rather the faster one, just so I can get into my sword much faster and better. I don't know. It's kind of just a personal thing. It's good for cutting, like, tails off and stuff, but I don't know about that. Then you got the, like, counter. I mean, it's alright. Like, it's not... Yeah, it's a counter. I mean, it's a counter. You can counter, and when you get the counter, it does a lot of damage, and it can kind of, like, completely... I mean, there's not much to say about it. It's just counter. And I'll be honest, I don't even use it very often because I personally don't like counters where you're, like, in a stance and then you counter. I don't really like that. I don't think it's very fun to play like that, so I don't know, that's just me. Now, it does work as a wake-up move. You put some bombs around the monster and then do it, and then you get a counter off the bombs, and then you get the wake-up move and the bombs. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. It's a good way to start fights, but that's kind of all the use that I like with it. And then we have the second best move in the series. This one where you fly into the air. I love this move. It's so good. I love it. I love it. I love it. It is such a satisfying move. I mean, if you want satisfaction of killing monsters, Switch Axe is basically your #1 pick. I mean, this thing just is so cool. You fling yourself into the air and then you drill down and smack them. And you can combo it with Elemental Discharge and do it after. It's so good. I love it. And a more advanced thing you could do with it is if you see a monster and they're charging at you, like someone like Tigrex or something, or Anjanath or something like that, and it's like, okay, they're moving at me in a predictive way, you can do it, jump over them, and then hit them behind you when they pass over you. It's one of my favorite things to do, and I love it. It's so good. And that little explosion after that, come on, that's so cool. You stick a little energy ball onto them and blow them up. How is that not cool? Then you got the compressed discharge, which is something that I hate very, very much. It's very bad. I hate it. I have no use for the compressed discharge. First off, this replaces the elemental discharge. So if you're using this, you are giving up the best move in the whole game. You're giving up Zero Sum and elemental discharge. That's crazy. So if I'm giving that up, there's got to be some sort of a good reward for this, right? No, there's not. It basically just does this big swing, which does decent damage. The problem is, I'm giving up my favorite move. And you know what I'm also doing? I'm also annoying everyone else that's in my hunt. I'm knocking them on the floor and tripping them constantly if I'm using this, because it's everything. This is the most wide sweeping Switch Axe move out of a weapon that is a big wide sweeper, and it can just trip people constantly if you use it in the right spot. So if you want to piss people off, use this move. But if you don't use it. Just don't. I don't care. It's a bad move. And with that, with the kind of tripping, Switch Axe, I'll admit, it's a little bit of an underrated tripper. I'll be honest with you guys, okay? Everybody talks about long swords. Switch Axe can do it too. With our wide sweeping moves, it's kind of easy to hit people, especially in the old games. Especially with our flip. Our flip is dangerous. You can flip people, and in the old games, you used to just like flip them off of cliffs and stuff, and that was pretty fun. Basically, in 3 Ultimate, if you flipped somebody, they would be on the floor for like at least 5 seconds, and there wasn't invincibility on the floor. You would just, it was not good. It wasn't good back in the day. But in Gen 5 and 4, I haven't tried it in Gen 4, but I think it's possible in Gen 4 too. You can actually flip people, and then they'll do mounting.
Excellent! It's a new record! Nice clap!
And that's pretty cool, because they can get them out. But don't try to do this unless you have a friend, because you'll just end up annoying people. I just love this weapon. It's a very personal weapon to me. It's my personal main, and I'm a little biased, I know, but I love it. I love the weapon. I would highly recommend it to anybody. Anybody can use it. It's really good. Don't let it scare you with the complications of it. It's not complicated, okay? You can use it. I've been a Switch Axe main for years, and I love it. Even back when I didn't even know what I was doing, back in 3 Ultimate when I was a little baby, I still loved it. That's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, you know, how it feels to play Switch Axe. And I think it feels pretty good, to be honest with you guys. I hope I expressed that feeling to you guys. And you know, there are other weapons in this little series. I think there's like 14 of them or something. So, you know, I could be potential. Maybe use a few of them, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe. I don't know. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. Come on, hit that button. We're almost done. Oh, oops. You know, I just realized, is this mic? I just got this mic. Is this... Oh. Well, I think that would have been useful. Yeah, but subscribe if you want to. I would recommend it. That's we're almost at 1,000, so please hit that button, you know. Come on.